What if I told you the Great Pyramid of Giza was never a tomb, and that for over 4,500 years, the greatest wonder of the ancient world has been hiding its true purpose in plain sight? The story we're all told in school is simple. The Great Pyramid was a giant, fancy tombstone for a pharaoh named Khufu. But the more you look, the more that simple story falls apart. What if the pyramids weren't about death at all, but about life, energy, and knowledge beyond our wildest dreams? Stick around, because the theories they don't teach you are way more interesting than the ones they do. The tomb with no body. Let's start with the official story. Around 2550 BC, Pharaoh Khufu commissions the largest building project the world has ever seen. For 20 years, an army of workers cuts, moves, and places over 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons, with a precision that still baffles modern engineers. All this just to be his final resting place. It's a nice story, but it has some massive problems. First, the most obvious one, there's no body. Khufu's mummy has never been found. Not in the Great Pyramid, not anywhere else. In fact, despite what movies show you, no pharaoh's intact burial has ever been found inside any of the major pyramids. The famous pharaohs like Tutankhamun, they were all found miles away, in the Valley of the Kings, buried in hidden underground tombs filled with treasure and art. Second, the pyramid is naked inside. Take a look at King Tut's tomb. Every single wall is covered in beautiful, intricate hieroglyphs and paintings. These texts, called the Pyramid Texts or the Book of the Dead, were like a magical GPS for the pharaoh, guiding his soul through the afterlife. They were absolutely essential for a royal burial. The chambers inside the Great Pyramid, they are completely blank. Bare, no carvings, no paintings, no hieroglyphs, nothing. The only marking ever found that even mentions Khufu is a tiny bit of graffiti, basically a worker's doodle, found in a small sealed-off chamber above the king's chamber, and some experts even argue it's a fake. Third, that stone box. The one thing in the king's chamber is a big granite box that they call the sarcophagus. But look at it. It's rough, undecorated, and the lid is broken. Compare that to the stunning, solid gold coffins of other pharaohs. This thing looks like a horse trough. And here's the kicker. The box is bigger than the doorway leading into the chamber. This means it had to be placed inside the chamber, while the pyramid was still being built around it. Why would they go through all that trouble for such a plain, ugly box, and then not even use it? It just doesn't add up. If it wasn't a tomb, then what in the world was it? This is where the story gets really good. Theory number 1. The Giza Power Plant forget a tomb. What if the Great Pyramid was a machine, a massive, ancient power plant? This is the groundbreaking theory put forward by engineer Christopher Dunn, and the evidence is shockingly compelling. The theory goes like this. The pyramid was designed to draw natural energy from the earth and convert it into usable power, probably wireless energy. Think of it like a giant Tesla coil built thousands of years ago. It sounds like science fiction, but let's look at the design. Location. The Giza Plateau isn't just a random patch of sand. It sits on a huge underground river system, part of the Nile Aquifer. Water flowing through underground chambers can create something called a physioelectric current. The pyramid was intentionally built over this moving water. Materials. The builders used specific types of rock for specific reasons. Much of the inside is made of limestone, which is a great insulator. But the key chambers and passages are lined with granite. Granite is full of quartz crystals. You know what's special about quartz? Squeeze it and it creates electricity. This is called the piezoelectric effect, and we use it today in everything from watches to radios. The pyramid contains thousands of tons of quartz-rich granite. The original casing, we see the pyramid today as a rough, sand-colored structure. But it was originally covered in 144,000 highly polished white Tura limestone blocks. It would have shone like a brilliant white jewel in the desert sun. This wasn't just for looks. This smooth, non-porous surface would have acted as a perfect insulator. keeping the energy inside from escaping, and protecting the inner workings from the outside heat. How it might have worked. So you have flowing water underneath and a giant structure full of quartz crystals on top. The theory suggests that the pyramid was built to vibrate. The whole building was a giant resonator, tuned to the natural vibrations of the earth itself. 1. The pumps, the so-called subterranean chamber, a rough-hewn room deep under the pyramid, might have acted as a place where a chemical reaction created a pop or a pulse, starting the whole process. 2. The resonator. The vibrations would travel up into the heart of the pyramid. The grand gallery, that long soaring hallway, might not have been a hallway at all. Dunn suggests it was a massive sound chamber, designed to amplify the vibrations to a deafening roar. The strange notches along its walls could have held acoustic resonators, like the strings on a giant guitar. 3. The power center. The vibrations would all be focused on the king's chamber. This room, built entirely of solid granite, was the power-generating core. The intense sound vibrations would squeeze the quartz crystals in the granite, generating a huge amount of piezoelectric energy. 4. The hydrogen factor. But where does the power come from? Those mysterious narrow shafts leading out of the king's and queen's chambers, which Egyptologists call air shafts, are another piece of the puzzle. Dunn proposes a chemical reaction was happening in the queen's chamber. Pouring 2 simple liquids down the 2 shafts could create a massive chemical reaction, flooding the pyramid with energized hydrogen gas. Hydrogen is the most powerful element in the universe. 5. Collecting the energy. The king's chamber, now filled with supervibrated hydrogen gas, will become a microwave energy resonator. The energy could then have been beamed out from the top of the pyramid, which was likely topped with a gold capstone, an excellent conductor to power the entire Egyptian civilization wirelessly. So, the king's chamber wasn't a burial room, it was a power core. The sarcophagus wasn't a coffin, it was a granite transducer, converting the vibrations into usable energy. And the air shafts weren't for air, they were chemical inlets. It wasn't a house for the dead, it was a factory for the living. Theory number 2. A map of the heavens. Okay, so a power plant is a wild idea. But what if the pyramid's purpose wasn't just about what it did, but what it represented? What if it was a message, written not in words, but in stone and stars? This brings us to the Orion Correlation Theory, developed by researcher Robert Bauval. Bauval noticed something strange about the 3 pyramids at Giza. 2 of them, Khufu's and Khafre's, are lined up almost perfectly. But the 3rd, smaller pyramid of Menkaure, is slightly offset to the side. Why would such precise builders make such an obvious mistake? He looked to the sky and found the answer in the constellation of Orion, specifically in the 3 stars that make up Orion's belt. The layout of the 3 Giza pyramids on the ground is a perfect mirror image of the 3 stars of Orion's belt in the sky. The 2 bright stars, Alnitak and Alnilam, match the 2 large pyramids. The fainter, slightly offset 3rd star, Mintaka, perfectly matches the smaller, offset 3rd pyramid. Even the brightness of the stars corresponds to the size of the pyramids. The Egyptians were obsessed with Orion, who they saw as the god Osiris in the sky. It makes sense they would want to create a version of heaven on Earth. But here's where it gets really weird. Because of the Earth's slow wobble, the stars aren't always in the same place. Bauval used computer programs to rewind the sky and find out when the pyramid layout on the ground would have perfectly matched the stars in the sky. The date he found wasn't 2500 BC. It was 10,500 BC. That's 8,000 years before the pyramids were supposedly built. It's a time before recorded history, before farming, before civilization as we know it. This date suggests the plan for the pyramids, if not the pyramids themselves, came from a much, much older and forgotten period of human history. Maybe from a lost civilization that was wiped out by a great cataclysm, a civilization that some might call Atlantis. This isn't just a wild guess. It's supported by another Giza mystery, the Sphinx. Geologists have noted that the Sphinx shows signs of massive water erosion caused by thousands of years of heavy rainfall. But when was the last time the Giza Plateau had that much rain? You guessed it, around 10,000 BC. Theory number 3, the ultimate time capsule. So we have a potential power plant and a map of the stars from a forgotten age. What if we combine these ideas? What if the Great Pyramid is the ultimate message in a bottle? A library of knowledge, built to survive any cataclysm and pass on essential information to a future civilization smart enough to decode it. This theory suggests the pyramid is a mathematical and astronomical encyclopedia. Its very dimensions encode complex scientific knowledge. Check this out. Pi. Take the perimeter of the pyramid's base and divide it by twice its height. The number you get is 3.14159 pi. How did a Bronze Age culture without computers calculate one of the most important numbers in the universe to that level of accuracy? The golden ratio, A, the divine proportion that appears everywhere in nature, from seashells to the human face, is encoded in the pyramid's fundamental design. The ratio of the slant height to half the base length is almost a perfect golden ratio, or phi. A approximately equals 1.618. Earth's dimensions. The pyramid is an incredible scale model of our planet. Its original perimeter was almost exactly half a minute of latitude at the equator. Its height is almost exactly 1/billionth the distance from the Earth to the Sun. This isn't a coincidence. This is deliberate genius-level design. They were encoding the fundamental constants of our planet and our solar system into a building they hoped would last forever. Why? Maybe they were leaving a manual. Maybe the builders knew that any advanced civilization would eventually rediscover mathematics. And by using this universal language, they could tell us, we were here, we understood the universe. And this is how it works. The pyramid itself is the key to unlocking the knowledge. The power plant design wasn't just for power, it was a demonstration of physics. The celestial alignment wasn't just a map, it was a calendar pointing to a specific important time. The question that changes everything. So what do we have? A structure that doesn't fit the description of a tomb. A building that has all the characteristics of a sophisticated machine. A map that points to a time 8,000 years before it should exist. And a stone computer that contains the fundamental numbers of our reality. The mainstream story of it being a simple tomb just crumbles under the weight of this evidence. The real question isn't how they built the pyramids. The real question is why, and who gave them the knowledge? Were they the survivors of a lost civilization, trying to preserve their wisdom? Were they leaving a warning for us about the cycles of destruction and rebirth on our planet? Or was the pyramid designed to be a tool, a piece of technology left for us to rediscover when we were ready? The mystery is far from solved. In recent years, scientists using cosmic ray scanners have found evidence of a massive, hidden void inside the Great Pyramid, a chamber as big as an airplane that no one knew was there. What's inside it? We don't know. For now, it remains sealed. A secret within a secret. The Great Pyramid isn't an answer. It's a question. It's a 450-foot-tall, 6-million-ton question mark sitting in the middle of the desert. And it challenges us to accept that our ancient history might be far more complex, mysterious, and magnificent than we've ever been told. And if they hid all this inside the pyramids, imagine what secrets are still buried in Egypt.